The 6 types of literary heroes. As most of you already know, when we look at stories, they tend to have a very specific structure. And when looking into that structure, we tend to find archetypes. These archetypes are descriptive labels that we can use to categorize and analyze the characters we see in different forms of media. One of these archetypes, when applied to characters, is the hero. The hero is usually, but not always, the protagonist of the story, the character we follow from the beginning to the end and who the action tends to be centered around. Now, within that category of hero, there are actually 6 subcategories of different types of heroes that I'd like to look at today. The 6 categories are classical, everyday, superhero, tragic hero, epic hero, and anti-hero. For the classical hero, or romantic hero, this is a type of character that has a specific skill or skill set tailored to take on a specific threat or enemy. An example of a classical hero would be Harry from Harry Potter with his magic, or when applied to my own writing, Gnash from the Rites of Iron, available in bookstores and on Amazon this summer, with his strength. Next we have the everyman, or the everyday hero. This is a character with no inherently heroic traits or special abilities that gets thrust into a dangerous situation and still ends up saving the day. A character like April O'Neil from Ninja Turtles. The superhero, which I'm sure you're aware of if you've watched any of the videos on my page, is a character with fantastical abilities that they use to fight fantastical problems. This is a little bit different than the classical hero, which has a more specific skill set and one singular enemy, usually. Applied to the young adult fiction genre, the best example I could give would be Miles Morales from the Spider-Verse franchise. Now, I maybe could have gone with Peter Parker and still done Spider-Man, but to be honest with you, Peter hasn't exactly been a young adult for a while. A tragic hero is a character whose call to action comes amidst horrific conditions or a great tragedy, hence tragic hero. An example of this would be Katniss Everdeen from the Hunger Games series. The epic hero is a character that's destined for greatness by virtue of their birth, usually a demigod or royalty of some sort. And similar to the superhero, they usually have some kind of fantastic ability that allows them to succeed within the narrative. But where they differ from the superhero is that usually they go on an epic quest or journey, while a superhero is usually more localized to a specific area, like Superman with Metropolis or Batman with Gotham City. A modern example of an epic hero would be like Percy Jackson from the Heroes of Olympus series. Last but not least, we have the anti-hero. Now, similar to the other 5 archetypes of hero, the anti-hero is somebody whose actions ultimately benefit the people around them or the community that they're serving. Where they differ, though, is in 2 key ways. The first being methodology. Anti-heroes usually don't care about virtue or ethics or anything like that, so they'll opt for more underhanded tactics that a normal hero would never employ. The second being motivation. Usually anti-heroes only follow the call to action when they're given a benefit. It usually comes from a selfish place. How does helping you benefit me? If the risk to reward isn't there, an anti-hero usually won't stick their neck out. For a recent example of an anti-hero, look no further than Paul Atreides from the Dune franchise. Just to clarify a bit, these categories are descriptive, not prescriptive. That is to say, they serve to describe the characters into what archetypes they broadly fit into, rather than to predict what their characters would do or to fully define what they are. Honestly, looking at the entries on the list, several of these characters would fit into other categories. The main function of the archetypes is to provide a writer with the primary colors with which they can paint their heroes. So the next time that you're working on a project and trying to come up with a good idea for the protagonist of a story you're writing or a good D&D character, just keep in mind